وسهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا في بث حي ومباشر عبر WNZK راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern, and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on WNZK 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues.
And good morning, everybody. This is Ray Hanania, and it's Radio Baladi, Friday, November 4, 2022. And we're here at WNZK AM 690. We're going to be talking about the upcoming elections on Tuesday, November 8th, with two great guests. One of them has joined us, Dennis Denno. How you doing, Dennis?
I am great, thanks. How are you?
Good. Now, Dennis, you're a pollster and a political consultant. Give us a little background and tell us your website where people can get more information about you.
Yeah, thank you. So it's Denno Research. Denno's my last name. D as in David, ENNO research.com. We do campaign and media consulting, and we do surveys all over the country.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And it will, in a few minutes, we'll probably have Younes joining us also. And to help us talk about it, Ali is a reporter with me over at Arab News. He writes a lot of stories. And of course, this week, the entire focus is on the United States and the elections on Tuesday. I know there are a lot of elections taking place in Dearborn and the greater Detroit area, as there are in Chicago. We got one shining star, I think, in Illinois, Abdel Nasser Rashid, a Harvard-educated Arab American, Palestinian Muslim. He won. He defeated an incumbent. I think he was like a 6-term incumbent. He took him out to win the Democratic nomination for the Illinois 21st House District. Wow. And I think Rashid is going to be a rising star in Illinois politics. You know, real substantive Arab actually going into the lion's pit in Springfield, Illinois, where it hasn't been very sympathetic to Arab Americans, so we're hoping he'll change that. Is there any big star in Michigan rising at the moment in politics? You know, we got the usual faces, Rashida Tlaib, of course, in Congress, but is there anybody that we should be paying attention to in Michigan?
You know, my friend Al-Abbas Farhat, he just won a Democratic primary. Part of his seat is Dearborn, part of his seat is Detroit. Just a great guy, a moderate Democrat. I'm a big fan. I think his star is rising.
And he's in the 3rd district, right, in Michigan for the, when you say the Michigan House, you're talking about Congress or the State House?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, the State House that goes to Lansing, Michigan, correct, sorry.
Much like Abdel Nasser Rashid, who's running in the State House, not in the U.S. Congress in Illinois. So Al-Abbas Farhat in the 3rd State District in Michigan, we're going to pay close attention to what he's going to do. How, you know, what are the issues, do you think, out there? Has him, you know, I guess it's different in Michigan and Detroit. Being Arab is less of an issue there. In Illinois, it's more of an issue because we don't have that many Arab Americans who have actually won office. So Abdel Nasser Rashid has taken some criticism from, you know, the usual far right sources because of his name, because he's a Muslim, because he's Palestinian, and because he's Arab. Is it like that in Michigan, or is that pretty much really been pushed aside?
You know, it's a great question. Most of that criticism would come more from the far right and the Republicans. the Arab American community is pretty supportive and united behind their candidates, and we've learned that we need to support our candidates if we're going to get ahead in American politics. I think you're also seeing the same in the Muslim American community here in Michigan, where they're more engaged and they stand up for their candidates. So if you were to attack an Arab American candidate, there's going to be some pushback. We're pretty involved, at least within the Michigan Democratic Party.
And in Illinois, it's April's Arab Heritage Month. The only achievement we've ever had was that we had April declared a state law that it's Arab American heritage. It was the only thing that we've really done for the Arabs in Illinois. The Arabs in Illinois are dysfunctional. They fight with each other. It's not even tribal, or I shouldn't say it's not even national. It's not like Palestinians fighting Jordanians, Jordanians fighting Lebanese. This is internal Palestinian politics where the tribes, they just don't get along. One guy starts a paper and suddenly the other people don't like him, so they start a paper. Probably never had any experience in publishing a paper, but they'll start one anyway. I don't know if you ever seen that Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm episode called The Spike Coffee Shop.
Yes.
That is the epitome of the Arab community in Illinois, Larry David's Spike Coffee Shop, because that's what Arabs in Illinois do. They spite each other and they're envious. Do you see a lot of that in Michigan at all? That type of, you do something, I'm going to spite you and envy you, and try to undermine you. Is that still common there? I'm sure it was at one time.
I think less so. I think, you still see it within the community. At least politically, I think we've kind of gone beyond that, where we think we've kind of learned that we just really need to stick up for each other and support each other. No question. I think, you do see the spite stuff. I love the Larry David reference. And I think you see that in every community, right? Just to one degree or another.
Everybody should see that season 6 Palestinian chicken episode. I can't repeat the lines that are so good, but that's Larry David, the Jewish comedian and the creator of Seinfeld, came up with Curb Your Enthusiasm. I think he has 11 seasons or 10 or 11 seasons. It's just phenomenal, great writing.
I think people should see every episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I wish there was an Arab Curb Your Enthusiasm. We don't have that many great programs on TV, although I did watch Rami on Hulu and Mo, which I think were phenomenal. Now, the Arabs didn't like it too much because, Rami touched on issues that are haram, that we're not supposed to talk about. Sex with strangers, sex with the other people, including Jewish women, sex with your first cousin, sex with everybody. So I think that kind of dropped like a lead balloon in the Arab community, but it's phenomenal. Have you seen Rami?
No, but you're kind of titillating me.
Yeah, it isn't just about sex. There's far more offensive things in there. It really explores the reality of being an Arab and a Muslim in the United States in such a funny way. And Mo Ammar, another comedian who is on Rami, which has 3 seasons, Mo actually launched his own season, and that's hilarious too. And these guys do not hold back, which is what I love. Now, because it's on Hulu and cable, they can use the 4-letter words and things like that, but it's a lot like Everyone Loves Raymond. It's about an Italian family, but it's not about being Italian. It just happens to be the Italian flavor in everyday life. So Rami and Hulu and Mo do that. So just phenomenal show. One day we'll have that.
Did Mo do his own show as a spite against Rami?
No, it was a spinoff. Yeah, see, that's the nice thing about it. It was like, wow, one Arab helping another Arab. How unusual is that, right? We don't do that in our community. We really will destroy each other if we can. So in Chicago, for sure. Chicago is like a battleground. I think the Israelis, when the Israelis and Palestinians in Chicago get together, we face off, and the Israelis stand there while the Arabs beat the crap out of each other and destroy each other. So I hate to laugh about it, but you know what? I'm not going to cry about it because we've been trying to change that over the years. So for me, seeing a guy like Abdul Nasser Rashid rise up, he fought his way in one election. I didn't support him the first time when he ran for Cook County Commissioner, but since then, he's come back, he's moderated, he's more of a centrist, and he's appealed to more people. And he's not from the far left or, the far right. Most Arabs, I don't think, are far right. I think they're centrist. But he was not, he's not like, I think Rashida sometimes is too far to the left on Middle East issues, and she doesn't know how to build a consensus, right? I mean, when you introduce a great law to recognize the Nakba, but you only get 9 out of 435 people to support you, I don't think that's a big achievement. That's breadcrumbs in my terms.
Yeah, I mean, not to, I think Rashida's trying, I think sometimes
She is. I mean, listen, politicians take criticism, right?
Yeah.
If they can't, they don't belong in politics. If they can't take criticism, I don't care about it. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Dennis.
No. I mean, I just think sometimes her left views kind of damage the overall goals that she's trying to accomplish, which is, as someone who wants to see her succeed and see Arab Americans succeed, it's kind of frustrating to watch happen.
Do you think it's and again, Rashida, I think she's very smart. She's won 3 elections now, and I think she's into her third term, or going into her third term. What I think that she does, she has some great issues in the district, which has a large African American population. I think in the new district there are more Arabs in it, but I think sometimes these Middle East issues she takes to the platform, the isolated platform, I call it, where you get a lot of attention for unpopular issues that you can't get any support for except from your own community. And I would love to see Rashida learn how to go to Jewish members of Congress and convince them that maybe not throw the Nakba in their faces, but say, listen, isn't there a way we can work together for everybody, and then get 230 co-signers on a piece of legislation? That to me would be a leader.
Yeah, and my frustration with American politics today is you get more headlines by being the bomb thrower and doing outlandish stuff than you do getting 430 members of Congress to sign on to a resolution or a piece of legislation. And I mean, that's kind of a longer story for us, right? But that's kind of my frustration with American politics today.
Well, you're listening to Dennis Denno, and I'm Ray Hanania. We're going to take a couple calls at 248-557-3300. We always have a big fan, Jerry Haba, who always calls in, and I won't say no to Jerry. So, Jerry, welcome to the program, and give us a question and a couple thoughts, but you got to keep it focused because we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Thank you, Mr. Ray Hanania, for taking my call, and I appreciate this beautiful word. I know it's coming from your heart. I appreciate your show always, and I appreciate you. Welcome, Mr. Dennis. Good morning to
Dennis Denno. Dennis is a great pollster. You don't see too many good political consultants in the Arab American community. Dennis is one of them. There are a few.
Thank you,
John Zogby, great guy, but Dennis Denno is right up there. But go ahead, Jerry. What's the big issue on your mind going into Tuesday?
Yes, what is in my mind, Mr. Dennis and Ray, is just a few days for the midterm election, and lately I've been seeing a lot of attack, a lot of criticism about the against the Jewish community in the USA, against them, and we refuse any anti-Semitism or anti-ethnic, even against the Arab, against the Muslim. This is not right. We live in a great country. My question to you, Mr. Denno, should the Arab or the Middle Eastern American for this election, they should denounce these mark against the Jewish community? And you remember Mr. Ken West, he attacked them, and he was from the top, he came to the bottom. A lot of companies, they left his show. And now we have the Nets basketball super player. He did apologize to the Jewish, but he did not actually pull his mark against Semitism. So what's your answer about this? And I appreciate your answer. And thank you for
Jerry.
Hanania.
Thanks, Jerry. That was a good question and fast. I give you credit, Jerry. So we love you. Thank you for listening and calling in. What do you think, Dennis? A quick answer before we go to break. But this issue of anti-Semitism, do Arab Americans stand up enough, and Muslim Americans, you think? And is that a political issue, you think, sometimes that weighs on us and impacts how we, perform when we run for office?
I guess my gut reaction is every community is like, when they get attacked, they're like, why aren't people defending us, right? And so I see that a lot in the Arab American community. But no, I definitely think whenever a community or gets attacked, or an individual gets attacked based on their race, based on their ethnicity, based on their religion, I think we, as an Arab American community, I think we as human beings have a responsibility to speak up and to condemn it. No question about it.
All right. We're on the line with Dennis Denno, a political pollster, consultant, a frequent guest on our show when it comes to politics, because like I said, there really aren't that many Arab Americans who really understand politics and can talk about it the way Dennis can. So I love having him on the show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this discussion on WNZK AM 690 Radio. I'm Ray Hanania. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Our noses can sniff out all kinds of things, good things and bad things. Your nose knows if those sniffles are just a cold, allergies, or COVID-19. So if you want to be sure, swab and test your nose for answers. It's good to know. Find testing information and resources at michigan.gov/COVID test. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Ziyad brand, quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
Are your hands feeling numb? Do you feel pain opening up a jar, turning a key? Are you noticing that your elbow and your shoulder are becoming stiff? Or were you recently injured in your arm? Hello, I'm Dr. Albajid Katranji, and at the Katranji Hand Center, which just recently opened down the street from the Somerset Mall, we can provide you with the latest in hand, wrist, elbow, and shoulder care. Visit us at www.katranjihandcenter.com to learn the latest techniques that we have to offer you, and I look forward to taking care of you.
Visit us in Troy at 1565 West Big Beaver Road, Building F, or call Katranji Hand Center for an appointment at 248-869-4263. That's 248-869-4263. Get ready for an amazing experience at Ishtar Restaurant on 15 Mile Road in Sterling Heights. Enjoy excellent hospitality from owners Ali Al-Baghdadi and Fatty Bottom, serving the best in Mediterranean food. Try Chef Ali Al-Baghdadi's famous shawarma, the best Iraqi grills and food, and the best Arabic and international dishes. Dine in our authentic atmosphere or take out. Call 586-698-2585 or check us out on Facebook. Ishtar Restaurant practices all CDC guidelines and is open every day, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Have an amazing experience today at Ishtar Restaurant, 3625 15 Mile Road, Sterling Heights.
And welcome back to Radio Bellady. I'm Ray Hanania, and I was rushing to the radio show this morning. I got up early. I don't understand. The older I get, the earlier I start waking up in the morning, trying to watch Seinfeld and King of Queens and other programs like that, Rami and Mo. But I decided at, I don't know, it's like 5 a.m. I go, you know what, I'm going to make a giant bowl of tabbouleh. So I
Wow.
just diced up the tomatoes, I diced up the cucumbers, I diced up the green onions, I diced up the parsley, and I mixed it up with the burgle and the lemon juice and the olive oil and a little bit of vinegar. Not everybody likes, I don't know, Dennis, how you like your tabbouleh, but if it doesn't have cucumbers, I don't consider anybody Arab. So I mixed all that up, and you can watch all my recipes because I make stuffed grape leaves, stuffed zucchini. It's more satisfying than politics, I've figured out, Dennis. Go to my TikTok, Ray Hanania, and check that out, all those recipes. Dennis, do you like to cook? I mean, every Arab man loves to cook, don't they? Do you cook?
I do. I actually make tabbouleh. I get fresh parsley in my backyard, and yeah, I love cooking. You know, my dad loved to cook, and no, yeah, definitely.
This is an Arab male thing. You know, we like to dance with ourselves. We love to eat. We love to have more than one woman. All right. And we love to cook. So we do not discriminate against women when it comes to cooking. We will help them in the kitchen. Sometimes I got to push my wife out to get in there to take over the kitchen. I do that all the time. Listen, I was remiss in not mentioning, of course, that our guest, Dennis, is also running for the Michigan State University Board of Trustees. And now you don't think of that in political terms as, you know, we might, you know, fighting for state rep or Congress, but, you know, you have to get elected by voters. And this is statewide, correct? For
Yes, it
Michigan
is.
State University. Tell us
Yes.
a little bit about what the position is and basically what would the position do?
Yeah, so Michigan State University has 8 trustees. I'm running for one of the positions. There's an open position right now. One of the incumbents did not get renominated. Basically, you get nominated either at the Democratic or Republican Party convention. And according to the Michigan Constitution, the trustees have 3 responsibilities: hiring, firing the president of the university, overseeing the finances, and overseeing the general operations of the university. So they're not day-to-day operations, but they're kind of overseers of the university.
So everybody in listening to this in Michigan will see your name on the ballot running for Michigan State University Board of Trustees. Is it a specific district, or is it just, like you said, one of 8?
No, it's not districts. They're all statewide. So there's going to be 2 Democrats, one of the 2 Democrats running, and there's 2 Republicans. All 4 of us are on the statewide ballot.
Any other Arabs on it?
I think I'm the only Arab, no Arab currently on
Then
the
you've
MSU
got my vote.
All right, thanks. Well, you're Chicago, so you can vote more than once, right?
Listen, according to Biden, nobody steals elections anymore. So I guess if I vote twice, they technically won't count it as having voter theft, because that's not really a problem anymore, according to them. But yeah, you know, I'm from Chicago, where we steal elections every day. But nobody, you know, it's like a safety zone suddenly for us. We can do it. Nobody wants to complain about it. So, but listen, let's get into Biden since we're up. Well, first, what about give us a reason why people should vote for you? Because you know, a little background of yourself and one of the issues, something that you'd like to do, you know, if you get on and when you get on the Michigan State University Board of Trustees. What would you like to see happen there?
Yeah, thanks. So, you know, there's been a lot of turmoil lately at Michigan State University. The president resigned. He's leaving early. There's been a lot of turmoil on the MSU board. I definitely think we need a fresh face. You know, the Board of Trustees serves basically as the legislative body of the university. I've worked at the Michigan legislature as a staffer for 17 years. I kind of bring that political experience. My wife and I are alums of the university. We live a mile from campus. So I think kind of bringing some stability and really looking into the safety of the campus and the university for our students, our employees, and our guests is a top priority for me.
I think that's phenomenal because I think the universities sometimes have more influence on the public than legislators and members of Congress. You know, schools, you know, mold the future activists and citizens. So you're going to have great influence there, and we wish you well. We hope everything goes well with you, and we'll be looking forward to seeing that happen on Tuesday, November 8th. Let's go back to Biden now, and you know that it seems like the elections are playing out as a continuation of the polarization between Democrats and Republicans. There's a big divide. Nobody in the middle anymore. I'm telling you, it's lonely being in the middle. I'm in the middle. Everybody hates me. That's why I think being an extremist is easier, because at least you have the extremists around you who love you. But when you're in the middle, nobody loves you because they're all fighting. So they're mad at each other. And we don't get to see many real issues surface. What do you see happening in the midterm elections? Let's talk about Michigan, and then let's talk about nationally, if you don't mind. In Michigan, is there a threat to the Democratic control of the state?
Yeah, so right now in Michigan, the Democrats control the governor's office, Secretary of State, Attorney General. Those are all elected statewide. Republicans control the state Senate and state House. So, yeah, I mean, there's no question that Democrats are concerned about losing some of those seats. Right now, our governor looks like she's in pretty good shape. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, there's probably the two things that are going in our favor being the Democrats in Michigan is, the three Republicans that are running for governor, attorney general, secretary of state don't have very much money. They're pretty extreme. I mean, they're kind of crazy, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying that as a Democrat, but they're not getting a lot of financial support because of their stances. So that's one advantage we have going for us. The other advantage we being Democrats have going for us in Michigan is we have what's called Proposal 3. It's a statewide proposal that if you vote yes, will guarantee abortion access and health care for women. It'll enshrine it in our Michigan Constitution. And I think that's really helping Democrats statewide.
Now, as you point out, the Democrats have the governor's mansion, but they don't have the House and State House and State Senate. Personally, I like the fact that this midterm election nationally, I think the Democrats are going to lose control of the House and may lose control of the Senate. But obviously they have the White House with President Biden, although I don't know if he actually knows he's there all the time. But it's nice to have two parties having some influence, because doesn't it result in accountability? In Illinois, it's an all Democratic state. The governor is a Democrat, and he's terrible. J.B. Pritzker, he's horrible. He's the worst. But the House is controlled by Democrats by a huge majority, almost 4-1. The Illinois Senate is controlled by Democrats, almost 4-1. Congress, out of 18 congressmen, I think the majority, something like 12 or 13, are Democrats. But I noticed that Biden is coming into Illinois to campaign for 3 Democratic congresspersons, Lauren Underwood, Bill Foster, and Sean Casten, because there seems to be a surge in the Republican vote. Are you seeing that in Michigan's congressional races? Is there a fight between Democrats and Republicans, or is it pretty much cut and dry?
Within our congressional delegation, there are 3 contentious elections. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There's one in Grand Rapids where we had a guy, his last name was Meyer, and he's the famous supermarket chain, and he voted to impeach President Trump. And so he made a lot of enemies within the Republican Party. And what the Democrats did, or allegedly did, was kind of give some support to his crazy right-wing opponent in the Republican primary, in which the New York Times came out and criticized Democrats for doing that. Tisk tisk if Democrats, do things that might be kind of underhanded, right? So right now you've got this guy, I think his name's John Gibbs, the Republican, who's pretty much out there, and Democrats were really good about picking up that seat out in Grand Rapids. Now, don't forget, Grand Rapids was the seat of President Gerald Ford. It was like, used to be called the city of churches. Now it's the city of beer hubs or beer, microbreweries. I mean, it's completely changed. It's just crazy. Another very contentious seat is the seat I live in, the former 8th, now the 7th congressional district, where Alyssa Slotkin, who's a very moderate Democrat, has an opponent from the state Senate, Tom Barrett. And that could really go down to the wire. It'll be very interesting to see how students at Michigan State University who are in the district, if they come out and vote. I think that's really going to that's going to be what Alyssa Slotkin needs. I mean, she's probably going to win that by a point if she wins. And then there's another one out in Macomb County, the Reagan Democrats, in which John James, African-American Republican who ran for U.S. Senate twice and almost won both seats, is most likely going to win that congressional seat. So those are our three seats that we're watching. We have no U.S. Senate seat up this year.
And who dominates the congressional seats in Michigan? The Democrats or the Republicans? Do you know? Or
yeah, well, we're losing a seat. I think we're going from 14 to 13. I think right now it's if it's at 14, I think it's a tie, or maybe the Democrats have a 1-seat advantage. So going to 13, I mean, it's going to be close. Either way, Democrats have a 1-seat advantage, or Republicans will have a 1-seat advantage.
Yeah, I think the Republicans are going to take the House. We're talking with Dennis Denno, who is the Michigan State University Board of Trustee candidate. I want to emphasize that because they're American and you need to support them. Get rid of this rivalry. Get rid of this, anger that we have in the Arab community. We should support ourselves. Get us in office. It's okay to have differences of opinion. Nobody's 100%. Dennis and I, if we agree 70%, that should be more than enough, where we treat each other with respect. So give him a vote. He's a longtime pollster and a political consultant. He's going to hang around with us for the rest of the show. We're going to bring in Younes too in a moment to join us, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the national issues. I'm Ray Hanania. We're going to take our next break here at WNZK AM 690 Radio, and we will be right back right after these messages.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. Imad Nakash is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. Imad Nakash. See Dr. Imad Nakash and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937.
Life is a nonprofit charity that's provided humanitarian aid and development to people and communities for over 25 years, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Please help improve these efforts. Make your tax-deductible donation to Life now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493. At Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic in Dearborn, we provide effective physical therapy sessions in order to limit pain and discomfort. Top Rehab provides physical therapy care for any diagnosis prescribed by a physician, and we regularly see and treat conditions such as stroke, TMJ, fibromyalgia, sciatica, joint pain, and more. We use a variety of pain management methods, including modalities, soft tissue mobilization, and therapeutic exercise. If you're in need of physical rehabilitation or physical therapy, get the highest quality health care at Top Rehab. Most insurance is accepted, and we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday 8 to 6, Tuesday and Thursday 8 to 5, and Saturday 10 till 2. Call for an appointment today at 313-846-0555. That's 313-846-0555. Choose Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. Life's too short to be in pain.
And this is Ray Hanania on WNZK AM 690 Radio. It is November 4th, and we're only a few days away from the general election. Midterm elections, November 8th on Tuesday. Hopefully you have early voted, or you should go out and vote and make your voice heard. With me is Dennis Denno. He's a longtime pollster and a political consultant, but he is running on the ballot statewide in Michigan, nominated by the Democrats for an open seat of 8 seats on the Michigan State University Board of Trustees. Being Arab American, Dennis, you have my 5 votes that we have in Chicago, because again, like I said, Biden said it's okay to steal elections because it never happened. Since they didn't steal Trump's election, like there's never been a stolen vote in the US ever. Who would believe that, right? I think the last election that was stolen was JFK, when he got the mob in Chicago to steal the ballots and push them over in Illinois. As it turned out, he really didn't need to steal those votes. Richard J. Daley didn't need to steal those votes in that election, and Kennedy won. But now we'd like to kind of push vote theft out of the circle there. And I know you being a Democrat, Dennis, you can't, criticize Biden. So we're going to bring our friend Ellie Younes on. Ellie, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ray. Thank you.
Oh, that's all right, buddy. No video or just voice, not a problem. That's okay. I just want to, we're going to rebroadcast this on U.S. Arab Radio and also on YouTube, the video and audio segment, if you want to check this out, everybody. Ellie, what do you think is going to, and by the way, Ellie, you know Dennis Denno, of course, longtime political consultant and pollster from Michigan. Ellie, what do you think is going to be happening on November 8th? What do you foresee for the Democrats?
Well, I am not going to break news here, obviously, because everybody is going to have a good day at election day on Tuesday. But what happens could be a toss-up, or it could be a slam dunk Republican victory in the House, U.S. Congress, in the House of Representatives. It expected Republicans will win decisively, will gain the majority in the U.S. Republican in the U.S. House. The Democrats lead by about I think 8 seats, the Democratic majority. But this is probably with some major elections happening across the United States. The Republicans are poised to win the House, and
it's traditional. It's traditional, isn't it?
Yes.
When whatever
Yes.
party has the White House, it's almost always, not all the time, but almost always, the other party takes the House and the Senate. And
Yes,
it looks like that's going to happen, although there's a close fight in the Senate with several seats there.
Yes, I think the close in the Senate it could be a toss-up. It could remain in Democratic hands, given that Kamala Harris has the vote to vote in whenever there's a tie as the president of the Senate. But
That's
in
true.
the Senate, in the Senate, it just really it's 3 states that could decide where the Senate is going to go. You know, we know
Right.
in Pennsylvania, Mehmet Oz is battling John Fetterman. It's a dead heat there.
And Mehmet Oz, is he, I think he's Middle Eastern, isn't he? Do we know much about him? Is he
Yeah.
Arab or just, no,
No,
what is he?
Mehmet Oz
What
is
Dennis,
Turkish.
do you know what he is?
He's
No,
I
he's
think-
Turkish.
Go ahead. I think he's Turkish.
Yeah, he is Turkish and he's
But
Muslim.
to Americans, anybody that's dark skinned with an accent is an Arab. It doesn't matter whether you're Iranian, Palestinian, or Pakistani, or Turkish. They just think we're all Arab. You know, most Americans have no idea what's going on in the world. They're very intelligent about the world. They just don't know what the heck is going on over there. But yeah, Mehmet Oz, I guess he's gonna. But you know, the Turks don't always align with Arabs, do they?
Well, I
No.
mean, again, it's a different dynamics here with Mehmet Oz. Mehmet Oz is an American. He was born in the United States. He's a heart surgeon. He's a TV personality, and he's a Republican, and he's endorsed by Donald Trump, and he's Muslim at the same time. But he's the Muslim.
Oh my God, Trump endorsed a Muslim? Does Trump
Yeah.
know he's Muslim? Because that contradicts all the stuff I've heard about Trump, how he hates Muslims.
Of course,
Doesn't he hate
of
Muslims? I don't know.
course, he's Muslim.
That makes no sense.
Yes. Well, in the Trump world or some Republican world, being a Muslim is not always bad. There's some Muslims are preferred by Republicans because the
I
kind
think
of
Muslims. Go ahead.
there is a kind of Muslim that is preferred by some Republicans. Sort of like, okay, the Republican Muslims who endorse Trump, who see America through the prism of the Republicans, conservative, pro-Israel, and on board with the Republican agenda. So there was some news about, of course, Mehmet Oz being a Muslim, and he is the kind of Muslim is fit for the Republican view of the world.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
I was going to say, Dennis, I don't want to put you on the spot as a Democrat, but aren't Arabs traditionally conservative? I mean, we support family values. We support religion, in terms of openness about religion. I like them to be able to pray in schools. We're anti-abortion. At least, abortion shouldn't be birth control. There should be limits. So I think Arabs, for the most part, not just the Christian Arabs, but the Muslim Arabs, I think they're traditionally conservative. Why is it that they don't identify more with the Republican Party? Is it because of that one issue about the Middle East and everything else is secondary?
Well, if I can be partisan, I would say because the Republican Party's messaging is pretty terrible. And
Yeah.
they've used Arab Americans and Muslim Americans as scapegoats for decades. I do agree with you that in general, Arab Americans are more socially conservative. I don't think we're necessarily opposed to the social policies and social spending of the Democrats in general. And I would also argue that maybe once you get into the second and third generations, maybe they're not as conservative as their parents and grandparents. It's not like Republicans have been super welcoming to people who aren't white and Protestant either.
They've shot themselves in the foot, I think,
Yeah.
because I remember growing up, my dad was a Republican.
Mine
And
too.
I remember he had a big sign that said AU H2O, Goldwater, against LBJ, who was the Democrat at the time. I liked LBJ because, I flunked English composition and it was easier to remember the letters. And I didn't understand chemistry. So who could support Goldwater if you didn't know the symbols for those? But Allie, you're more traditional Arab. And do you see the Republican Party ever accommodating the Arab and Muslim community more than they have? Because as Dennis points out, their messaging is terrible. They've treated us horribly, in spite of the fact that we really kind of, align with a lot of the fundamental, as Dennis says, social issues.
Well, considering that former President Donald Trump is still a force in the Republican Party, and he's still out there campaigning for Republican candidates, I don't see that Arab Americans and Muslim Americans in this country are going to vote for Republicans, except, of course, for the fringe members of the community, Muslims and Arabs, who would just go to vote Republican. And this is simply because of the way the Republican Party is today has shifted way to the right, much to the disliking of the Arab Americans. Although Arab Americans, like you said, and Dennis said, are socially conservative and they espouse conservative values, and this is in line with the anti-abortion. They support family values, and recent, Michigan, there's a protest about, having LGBT issues in textbooks. Arab Americans in Detroit area protested these things along with the other conservatives. But like I said, the decisive issue for them is Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has antagonized the community, not just Arab Americans, but other minorities, of course. And of course, the Arab Americans and Muslim American, have this big issue of the Palestinian-Israeli issue. He endorsed Israeli annexation of Jerusalem. It's illegal under international law. He recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. He annexed the Golan Heights. All these issues, on the foreign policy issues, the United States has shifted way to the right and way pro-Israel, trampling over international law and trampling over any semblance of fair or
I don't know. Allie, I'll tell you, under Obama and under Clinton, I'm going to tell you, they trampled on us with smiles on their faces, that with their hand around our shoulders. They walked us through the valley of death and then tubed us. So I don't see a difference between the Republican. I know a lot of Arabs do, between the Republican, and we're talking nationally, not state level. But I don't see much of a difference between the Democrats and the Republicans, other than in how they do what they do. The Democrats are much more subtle, but they're very big in supporting Israel and we get lip service as Palestinians, I think, on that
You-
issue. And the Democrats don't care about how the Middle East is being torn up. They just don't care. They're not doing anything about it.
You are
Are they?
correct. You're absolutely right. Both have led the Arab and Muslim Americans, from their perception to the valley of darkness. You said to borrow from the Bible, but the difference is just liberal Zionist and extreme Zionist. I mean, that's with the reality of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Both pro-Israel, both support Israel, and both, do not question Israeli policies. And that's very problematic because Israeli is engaged in illegal occupation for the past 55 years. And not Europe, not the United States government is seeing that as an illegal occupation. They give the lip service, like you said, but and this issue from an electoral perspective in Arab and Muslim American community, it plays a big part if you, as a Republican, put Israel front and center in the elections in your campaigning, try to win the Jewish American vote or the evangelical Christians vote, and that alienates a huge chunk of the Muslim and Arab American community, whereas the Democrats do not put Israel front and center with messaging that alienates Arab and Muslim Americans. So, but also, if both are supporting Israel, so where Arab Americans and Muslim Americans should go, for the lead antagonistic voice.
They should go where I'm at, right in the middle. I don't vote for parties anymore. I'm voting for Dennis Denno because he's Dennis Denno, although he is with the Democratic Party. I've tried to vote for somebody that's going to be fair. Dennis in Michigan, what was Carl Levin's son, the congressman? What's his first name?
Andy
Levin. That's correct. I'm sorry. Andy Levin lost. How is that possible in a big Arab prominent constituency? He's Jewish American, centrist a little bit. I mean, he supports Israel, but he also supported Palestinian rights, but he was really hammered because he didn't take the AIPAC line 100%. What happened to him?
Yeah, great question. So that's actually a congressional district my parents live in. And as you said, Andy Levin, who happens to be Jewish, was, I hate to use the word moderate or whatever, but he was a little more moderate on Middle Eastern policy, on the Arab-Israeli issue. And he really got hammered. I mean, he really lost a lot of support because of that. There were, his other issue was he was running against a well-liked well-liked Democratic Congresswoman, Haley Stevens. And, female candidates start off with a little bounce. And I think that hurt him too. They both worked really hard. They both had name ID. And he ended up losing that district. And he had to move into the district a little bit. I mean, I think more of the district was originally Haley Stevens, I think. So he had a lot of headwinds that just weren't helping him out.
And I know that they did that in Illinois, where Marie Newman was very pro-Palestinian. They redistricted that, put her in with Sean Casten, more of a centrist Democrat, and he defeated her. And it sounds like they did the same thing to Andy Levin. They put him in a district. I think, this Palestine-Israel issue was a deciding factor in Illinois. I wonder if it was a deciding factor in what they did to Levin.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely groups who were very upset. National groups were very, very upset with what Andy Levin said, who came into Michigan and spent heavily on it. I don't think that was definitely an issue. There's other issues involved. So I guess what we're trying to say is getting involved in the Arab-Israeli conflict doesn't really help you as a politician. And look, I mean, Ray, to push back on you a little bit, I'll agree with you on Bill Clinton.
That's all right. Do it. It's okay.
I'll agree with you on Bill Clinton, wasn't necessarily an ally of Palestine or the Middle East or the Arabs, but Barack Obama, I think, was a little different. I mean, I don't remember him kowtowing to Israel or the Israelis as much as other presidents. I mean, I thought it was heartening when he gave his first speech overseas in Egypt, I mean, granted, he could have done more. We all could have done more. As president, you're definitely got a lot of forces that are pushing and pulling on you. And I think the other thing with that Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, and I've got posters of both of their campaigns hanging on my wall here. I think both of them supported the Arab American community, had Arab Americans in their administration. Bill Clinton had Arab American women in his cabinet, and I don't see that as much with Republicans.
All right, hey, Allie Younes and Dennis Denno, hang tight. We're going to take our final break here at WNZK AM 690 Radio. I got two great guests. Dennis Denno is a pollster and a campaign consultant, but he's also running as a candidate, and we want him to win for one of the 8 open. There's one open seat of the 8 seats at the Michigan State University Board of Trustees. Remember that name, Dennis Denno. And Allie Younes, who's not running for anything, but he's out in the South Carolina area, which I always find fascinating, an Arab in the South. I don't know how one day we got to do just a show on that, Allie. But Allie Younes is a great writer, and I've known him for many years. And if there's anybody that understands politics when it comes to the Middle Eastern Americans, it's Allie Younes. I'm Ray Hanania. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, let me get final thoughts from both of you guys after the break on what you think you expect to see in terms of any surprises in the Arab community, and what do you think is going to happen nationally. I'm Ray Hanania. We'll be right back right after these messages.
When it comes to reproductive medicine, IVF Michigan Fertility Centers are the recognized leaders. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 5 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. As a founding member of IVF Michigan Fertility Centers, Dr. Nicholas Shama is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. Dr. Shama has performed over 10,000 IVF cases and has helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. American board certified in both obstetrics and gynecology and reproductive endocrinology and infertility, Dr. Nicholas Shama is a very caring, compassionate, expert physician that understands not only the medical but also the emotional toil of infertility on his patients. When it's time, get personalized care from Dr. Nicholas Shama at IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio. Call toll-free 855-952-9600, 855-952-9600.
Are you going to start a restaurant or a grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Najee Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Najee Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Najee Abood, 734-744-9796.
Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab offers a great array of your favorite Mediterranean meals. Meals range from lamb specialties, shawarma sandwiches, and seafood dinners. Plus, they offer big trays of your favorite food and so much more. Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab is located at 32839 Northwestern Highway in Farmington Hills and is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So stop in or call Kashat's today at 248-538-9552. That number again, 248-538-9552. Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab will definitely leave you satisfied.
And this is Ray Hanania here at WNZK AM 690 Radio with two great guests, Dennis Denno and Allie Younes. Allie Younes is a writer with me over at Arab News. He covers a lot of political and American, Arab, and Muslim news stories, what's happening in the community. And Dennis is a candidate now, also in addition to being a pollster and a great media consultant. We love to have both of them on. Dennis has also been nominated by the Democratic Party to the one open seat of the 8-seat Michigan State University Board of Trustees. You each got like about 2 minutes to give me, and I know radio goes by quick. We want to thank Layla El Husseini for all that she does. I wish we had a 5-hour show because that's what it would take to really talk about politics. But Ali, Younes, let's start with you. Final thoughts on this election on Tuesday. When you go to vote and when you cover this election Tuesday, what's going to be on your mind? What's the most important thing that you think is going to happen? What's your biggest concern Tuesday?
Well, it's a lot of issues at stake here from a national point of view. But on a personal level, I think in the South is red, deep red states. Atlanta, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. A lot of these states are red states, so it's not going to make any difference if you're a Democrat in a lot of deep states. Some pockets of Democratic, congressmen here and there do the demographics of those districts. But generally speaking, the House is critical, is important, and I think it's going to go Republican. The Senate is still a toss-up, but the country will be shifting to the right. And considering the Donald Trump messaging and campaigning, and he's setting the stage for possibly and more than likely that he would run again, think the country will go into deep, more polarization, him being a factor and running for elections. And remember, a lot of the establishment Republicans are not necessarily support Trump. We know Mitch McConnell is not 100% supporting Trump, and he despises Trump, really. So the divisions with the Republican Party are, and it's a huge, but the division within the United States of America, it'll be much bigger because
it's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think
Yes.
it'll be bigger? Because I'll tell you what, I don't think that Biden has done anything to bring anybody together, at all. He said he was going to do that in his campaign, but he hasn't. Dennis, you get the last final word here. Couple minutes. What do you expect, other than your victory? When we celebrate, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it, but we're praying for you. And I don't think you would have got in it if you didn't think you had a shot. But what's the big issue for you besides your own election on Tuesday? What do you think is going to happen? What are you going to be looking for?
Turnout. I'm really curious to see turnout. Suburban women, African Americans, are there these sporadic voters who are solid Trump voters who are going to come out to vote, who haven't been answering surveys like they did arguably like they did in 2016 and 2020, but not 2018? Like, I don't know. College students, are they going to come out to vote in mass? I think that's what I'm really curious about is turnout. Ticket splitters, we do we have straight ticket voting in Michigan. As we become, I hate using this phrase, more polarized, but as we become more polarized in this country, we arguably are seeing less ticket splitters, less people voting for third-party candidates. So I think all of that's going to be fascinating to me.
Let me ask both of you real quick, yes or no question. Was the release of the fact that they were going to repeal Roe versus Wade, has it really helped the Democrats in this election? Yes or no? Dennis?
Tremendously.
Ali?
It re-energized the Democrats to vote because they see it as a critical issue for them.
And a last final question for both of you. There are a lot of people saying that crime is more significant, that abortion is a principle with most women, but it doesn't really technically apply to a lot of women. Abortion is something that, probably about 20% of the segment of at any time, women, are considering that as a possible option. But crime seems like a bigger issue, and it seems like the Republicans have really wrapped themselves around that issue, fighting crime. Is that going to be an issue? Has it helped the Republicans, Dennis? Yes or no?
White people are always afraid of crime, even though crime in their community is going down. So yeah, obviously Republicans are doing polling and they're seeing it. And I'll say this, my wife is working on on Proposal 3 to legalize abortion. I see a lot of women coming in who say, you know what, I don't want my grandkids to have less rights than I did.
Okay, and Ali,
Yes.
is crime a big issue? Yes.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
But the police is a big issue. The Republicans and the white, Dennis always support the police, and the Democrat appears to be anti the police and defunding the police and to be perceived to be soft and crime by the Republican messaging.
Right.
And that's
all right. I gotta end it. You can catch up on Ali and I at ArabNews.com and read our reporting. Dennis Denno, what's your website again?
DennoResearch.com.
All right, I'm Ray Hanania. We will see you next week. We're going to have another special on the after election. Maybe I think I'll bring Allie and Dennis back if you guys are free. I'd love to have you. We'll do another discussion. I'm Ray Hanania. Thank you, WNZK AM 690. We will talk again next week on Tuesday about the election. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ray.